Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 Mods Weekly, the show where we take a look at some of the really cool and interesting mods that have come out in the past week for Fallout 4. And this week, we've got some really cool, new, exciting stuff. Some new weapons, armors, quests, gameplay mods, all kinds of new, really cool mods, and some really interesting ones at that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started and not waste any time. And let's talk about our first mod, which is going to be Vault-Tec NAPP Food Paste Expansion by Martin Toms. This is going to be a mod that overhauls and expands the food paste in the vanilla game. So you may remember in the Suffolk County Charter School, there is a nice little school that has been using pink food paste to feed their kids, and all of the ghouls that have survived there are all a now bright pink color. Well, this mod is going to take that idea of that food paste and expand it, which is really interesting. Once you head over to the school, you will now find a new pink ghoul who's not yet gone feral, known as Jerry Gibson. And if you interact with him, he's going to be able to be recruited as a settler. Simply send him to any one of your settlements and find him sometime later. Once you do, you can open up his inventory and pick up a new recipe book on how to make new flavors of the food paste. From there, you can head into your workshop and you can actually build two new food paste stations. There's a smaller one, which is just a tray of food paste, or you can build a big food paste machine. Assign some settlers to these and they will start producing food for your settlement. Now, it will automatically fill your settlement's inventory with random flavors of food paste, but with the machine, you can actually go over to it yourself and request different flavors, which is pretty cool. Now, the default pink paste in the vanilla game is going to give you just that standard endurance buff, but all of the new flavors actually have different bonuses. Some of them give you increased special stats, some of them give you some other bonuses, so let's go ahead and run through them real quick. The newly added blue food paste is going to give you 200 HP as well as a bonus to your charisma stat. The brown food paste is going to give you better AP regeneration and better max AP, so that's pretty cool. The green paste is going to give you a huge amount of HP as well as a bonus to your endurance, but it is also going to give you a lot of radiation. And then the yellow food paste is going to give you a nice little bonus to your HP as well as some extra strength. Altogether, this is a pretty cool, goofy, unique concept for a mod, and one that is very lore friendly. I love mods that take little aspects of the game and expand on them to make them more interesting. The food paste was just a one-off little side area that you could go and explore, but now it adds a new, unique settler that you can recruit and even some new, cool, craftable food. So that's actually really cool and a great job by Martin Toms. Up next, we have a new sniper rifle mod, and that's going to be the Modern Warfare 2022 Signal 50 beta by WarfightersWorkshop. This is going to add the Signal 50, otherwise known as the GM6 Lynx in real life, a really cool reciprocating barrel 50 caliber anti-materiel rifle. Now, this is from Modern Warfare 2022, which is not out yet, but Warfighter does say that they have permission to use the assets that were featured in the beta for this game. So once the actual game comes out, there will be even more added to this mod, but as of right now, it's only the stuff that was available in the beta. The GM6 Lynx is a really cool rifle in real life, and we did actually get a mod for one not too long ago, but because this one comes from Modern Warfare 2022, it has a complete set of custom animations, support for tactical reload, and some beautiful sound design. I love the sound of this weapon firing. I used it a little bit in Modern Warfare 2022 beta, and it sounds exactly the same in Fallout 4 since it is a lot of ported assets. And best of all, whenever you shoot this thing at rapid fire, it is going to play the beat to My Milkshakes Bring All the Boys to the Yard.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like...
And if that isn't just a selling feature, then I don't know what is. Like most of Warfighter's mods, this one is not added to the level list. Instead, you will have to craft it over at the chemistry station, but it does have a handful of new attachments over at the weapons workbench, so there is at least a little bit of customization available. Interestingly enough, this one only comes with 3 sniper scopes and no other attachments, so this is going to be a dedicated heavy sniper. You're not going to be able to throw a red dot on this and use it as your primary weapon. You're going to want to use this thing more at range. I've even gotten myself in trouble a couple times trying to fight enemies at close range with this thing. Weirdly enough, there isn't a ton in the way of damage customization over at the weapons workbench. This thing is pretty much always locked at 100 damage, so if you want to tweak that value, you're going to have to do so in something like Fallout 4 Edit, or just play with your perks and see if you can get this to do as much damage as you need it to do in your game. That being said, the vanilla 50 caliber in the base game with no perks does about 50 damage, and this one does about 100, so it's already pretty dang powerful. If anything, you might want to tweak it back a little bit. But yeah, altogether this makes for a really cool new heavy sniper and a perfect mod to download if you're looking for something to spew out all of your surplus 50 caliber ammunition. Now for our next mod, we have a quick little rifle mod, and that's the Arisaka Type 38 by Ninja6657. This is going to add a nice retro bolt-action rifle into the game that has some cool new custom animations and some cool looking new models. This is a fairly simple rifle with not a ton of customization. This is going to work as a pretty decent infantry style bolt-action rifle. You can change up the size of the stocks, the size of the barrels, but more than anything, it's just a simple bolt-action. You can't actually equip a scope to this thing, so you're not going to be able to snipe too well with it, though you can apply zoom modifiers over at the weapons workbench, and there is a rather large bayonet that you can throw on this thing if you want to poke some people at range. This is definitely more of a weapon for collectors, as it proves to be okay in combat. It's nothing too crazy to write home about, but it definitely will allow you to defend yourself at a good mid to longish range. Again, having a nice scope would have been a little bit better for this thing, but at the very least, you can put down enemies like super mutants with relative ease. Sadly, this weapon is not added to the leveled list, nor is it craftable. Instead, there are two versions of this weapon that you can find out in the world. One of these is actually really easy to find. You just simply head over to Diamond City and you can find it over at Takahashi's Noodle Stand. And the second unique version, known as the Patriot, can be found over in the Museum of Freedom, locked up in a display case. Overall, these make for some really cool new retro bolt-action rifles. If you're a weapon collector or like these classic styles of weapons, I definitely recommend at least trying this one out and seeing if it's a good fit for your load order. Up next, we have a very simple little melee mod known as the Hatchet Survival Axe by Oppressor. This is going to be a newly added survival hatchet as part of Oppressor's attempt to add a bunch of cool new melee weapons into the game. Now, this hatchet is very, very simple. I'm going to be quite frank right off the bat. There are no modifications at the weapons workbench. This is a very simple hatchet. That's all there is to it. It's craftable at the chem lab. There is no leveled list integration, but I really do like the design of this thing. It's got a nice axe head on it and a really cool classic woodsman design. And the other thing is, I really appreciate attempts to add actual tools and other melee weapons that should have been in Fallout 4 in the first place. I think Fallout 4's melee scene is lacking a lot, not only in mods, but in the base game especially. Melee builds are rather boring, and the amount of weapon variety is just not there, and so attempts like this, not only with this hatchet but other mods by Oppressor to add more and more melee variety is really, really nice. I do have some minor nitpicks with the survival axe. While the model and texture are absolutely phenomenal, I do think the scale is just a tad bit off. It is meant to be a one-handed hatchet, but even still, it's rather tiny. Additionally, the lack of attachments make this pretty simple. It does 20 damage and that is it. There's no way to upgrade this except for with perks. And the smallest thing in the world, at the eye of the axe, there is a screw set in place, which you would never want to do to your axe. You'd rather have a step wedge or something along those lines, and having a screw like that would probably split the axe handle right down the middle. So that's just a minor nitpick, but all of the custom models here are absolutely excellent. Everything looks really, really nice. I think a simple rescale and the addition of attachments would be great, and then maybe adding this to the leveled list could be potential for an amazing new hatchet mod, which we don't really have a lot of. Again, I just love the idea of using actual real tools that were just left out of Fallout 4 for some reason. All we got were a baseball bat, tire iron, and pull cue, and that's pretty much it. So I would really like to see more mods like this, adding real world items and real tools that should be around the Commonwealth anyways as actual melee weapons. So just to point that out, I really like this mod, and I think the models and textures are pretty great on this thing. Up next, we're checking out a brand new armor mod known as the MS Ranger outfit by FafnyB. This is going to add a very, very realistic set of modern military armor from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Now, typically I do shy away from these more modern armor mods, at least in my own load order, but I really, really like this one. Unlike some of the other tactical armor mods, which go for the more edgy, tactical, dark and sleek look, this one adds a real military sim set of armor that is actually true to form and looks like something that would be seen in the US military. Now, it doesn't fit the Fallout universe super well, but if you're running a modern, tactical-ish load order, I think this armor is great and it looks fantastic. It's been an excellent port, and I think it works very, very well in Fallout 4. The only issue I even have with this is that there's a teensy bit of clipping on the vest. Anytime you use a big weapon and you put it at your side in third person, there'll be a little bit of clipping, but if you're not a third person player, that doesn't really matter at all. Like most of these modern armor mods, you can craft this thing over at the chemistry station. It is not added to any leveled lists yet, but I'm sure somebody will make a patch for that, or if you wanted to do it yourself, it's not too terribly hard to do with a little bit of scripts from Dankraft. Personally, I think that if you were running a modern style of load order, throwing this onto the leveled list for the gunners would be a really cool idea. And honestly, this armor set just looks really cool. It comes in a ton of different pieces, so you can mix and match them as you please, and there's even multiple different backpack styles if you want a regular backpack or you want a nice little water skin. On top of that, it even has support for CBBE, which I know is a big deal for those of you who are out there collecting new armor mods. This is definitely a mod that isn't for absolutely everybody, but if this is something that's up your alley, this is very high quality and makes for a nice new military set of armor. And finally, that's going to take us to our last mod this week, which is Mobius's Laser Musket 2.0 by BlaineMobius. This is going to add a brand new weapon, perfect for any Minutemen playthrough. This is going to be an upgraded version of the vanilla Laser Musket. Now, this isn't a replacer or a remesh, this is a completely new weapon. The idea is that they took the original handmade Laser Musket and refined the design to make a new standalone weapon that uses the same crank functionality of the Laser Musket, but has some nice new parts that make it a bit better of a weapon. In terms of stats, this is going to perform much better than the vanilla Laser Musket, allowing for higher crank limits as well as some higher base damage. Additionally, all of the parts have a nice new manufactured look. I talked about it in the standalone video for this, but I think this would be great for a character who has already done the Castle Quest line and is trying to upgrade their Minutemen to be a bit more of a military than a ragtag group of settlers. This weapon comes with pretty much all the same customization you'd expect from the vanilla Laser Musket. Additionally, there are also 2 uniques added in this mod. I won't spoil those locations here, but there is a full breakdown of this mod that I can link down in the description below if you want to get all of the details on every single attachment, location, unique variants, all that fun stuff. On top of all of that, these are also part of a new project that's coming out called Fallout New Austin, which is going to be made by BlaineMobius as well. And he's been posting some really cool updates to that. So if you want to check that out, I'd highly recommend clicking the link on the mod page so that you can see some of the cool new trailers showing off some of the assets that will be in that bigger project. But with that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope you guys found at least one new mod to throw into your load order. There's a lot of really cool ones here, a nice variety to choose from, so hopefully at least one of these was good enough to find a permanent place in your own game. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a rating. Consider subscribing if you haven't already for more videos just like this. Big shout out to all of my patrons for supporting every single video. And of course, a very special thank you to Captain Chaos, Helljumper, Indecisive Wolf, Jackie Noid, Timmy76, John Moreland, Cushy, Moonlit Gamer, Feed, and YouthRC for joining that Tier 3 Patreon membership. If you'd like to support the channel or the mods I make over on Patreon, you can do so using the link down in the description, but it's completely optional. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace!